Hi there. I choose to farm sustainably because, as a role model, I advocate for healthy practices for my farmers through the extension messages as a vital tool for learning. Do you know how important the health of the soil is in regenerating the ecosystems? No wonder the beneficial microorganisms, our friend, plays this magical role in decomposing the organic matter to increase the soil fertility, soil structure, water conservation, trapping the carbon dioxide, and making nutrients available for the plant's uptake. The good news is that the narrative is changing by the day, as our farmers are now supportive of the eco-friendly principles to encourage genetic diversity, as against their usual monocropping system of production. They are ready more than ever before to support the idea of using their on-farm generated resources instead of synthetic fertilizers. To all the farmers out there, I say thank you for believing in this noble cause to sustain and protect the world for sustainable farming. So, hashtag, I grow your food.
Wow, thanks very much, Abimbola, for that message. And thanks everybody for joining us today on a live stream in celebration of all those who are growing our food sustainably. My name is Jonita Kello, and I'm joined by my colleagues Andres Gonzalez, who will be providing tech support, and Julie Konu and Nif Esoy, who will be responding to your messages. So please keep them coming, as many as possible. Your comments, let us know also where you're joining us from. And in fact, actually, Julie hosted the kickoff live stream earlier today with Sylvia Courier, who's also an organic farmer from Kenya. And in case you missed out on that, no worries. A link will be shared that you can watch later. So, and speaking of, organic farmers, we've been celebrating them with the I Grow Your Food initiative since 2019. And we tend to highlight the incredible work they do and make sure we choose this one day to raise their voices and amplify them on social media. However, of course, this does not stop you from celebrating them every day, which is actually what we should be doing, celebrating these farmer messages every day. And we do this in different formats, from videos to blog stories. And in fact, actually, you'll see if you go to our I Grow Your Food website, we have already 113 videos from over 45 countries that are currently published there. And you feel free to use any of them when you're sharing. And also, we regularly publish stories on the blog. We have a Organics Without Boundaries blog where we publish the stories from organic farmers from all over the world. So again, please feel free to share as many as possible. And we also accept photo formats that you can see on social media. I'll use an example from Natalie, who shared her photo posts, and she used Canva template to use that. So if you want to join with photos, please do so. The link will be shared also on how you can use our template in Canva. And so, yeah, there's so many ways to celebrate our farmers. We just don't have one way to do it. And also, of course, if there's a farmer around your community, you can also go say thank you simply, and also listen to them and know why they farm the way they do. And so this year, it's no different. We invite you to join us in celebrating our farmers by amplifying their messages, ensuring that the center stage of social media today. And like I said, you can do this by taking a message from a social media toolkit, which we'll be sharing with you as well in the links. And you take a message from the social media toolkit and you share it all over social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter, Instagram, and you can see it's so easy. When you go in there, you can go get a message, scroll down, you see already a message that's already been paired for you, find one that speaks to you, copy, paste, and use the hashtag I grow your food. The more farmer messages we share, the more their voices are heard. And please remember to tag us because we'll be able to see all these messages on our social media wall. And so will audience from all over the world. So as you can see already, there's so many people who have been posting and using the hashtag I grow your food. And so throughout the day, please feel free to check in and also share, from your social media handles. And yeah, today, later we are going to be joined by organic farmers from India, Nigeria, and Peru. And who they will be our panelists today. We'll hear from them. But before we go any further, I'd like to remind you to please write any comments you may have, write any questions you may have later on, and we'll be responding to you. And aside from that, please sit back and listen to these farmers here. However, before we go there, let's hear one more video from Shamika Monet, who is one of the panelists.
Hello, hi, this is Shamika Monet, a researcher turned organic farmer, originally from Maharashtra and now doing organic farming on different acres of leased farmland in Kerala. I started my farming journey by cultivating different traditional rice varieties and vegetables on 1 acre of a farmland. The experience of growing rice was phenomenal. All the efforts that we put in, from sowing, transplanting, then putting all the Jivamrut and all the sprays, the local traditional sprays, and then finally harvesting. And then the post-harvesting until the rice reaches to my plate. All the processes when I did myself, it was a phenomenal experience to have. And so I wanted to share it with my other fellow friends and family members. So then we started this I Grow Your Rice campaign, adapted from iFarm Organics International, but the name. And what we did in that is, all the family members invested a particular amount depending on how much rice or rice flakes or bran and different products that they need. And depending on their investment, we gave them back the products. All of the family members were so happy and satisfied. And when they shared their experiences of eating these traditional rice varieties with the local recipes, and their children were also eating those rice varieties, it was a heartwarming experience to have. So I thanks I Grow Your Food campaign, iFarm Organics International, and Innofo for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Wow, truly a powerful message from Shamika on preserving biodiversity, especially when it comes to food and seed varieties like rice. And so it is definitely true that we have to support the farmers who are working on that. And speaking of seed farmers, I'm very, very excited and happy to introduce our panelists who will be sharing with us today, starting with the first person you just saw on the video, Shamika Monet. She's a researcher who turned an organic farmer from India, and she's also part of the iFarm Organics World Board and the president of Innofo, which is the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmers Organizations. Thank you so much, Shamika, for joining us. And next, we have Abimbola Majolagbe. She's an organic farmer and advocate for good agricultural practices and provides support for organic farmers and value chains actors all over Nigeria. Thank you so much, Abimbola, for joining us.
Thank you, Juanita. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, a joy. And last but not least, Juan Pablo Pineda. He's an agronomist from Peru who's currently managing agroecological projects and promoting a youth network for agrobiodiversity and production systems in local communities in Peru. Thank you very much, Juan, for joining us as well.
Thank you, Juanita.
Thanks. And thanks to everybody. To the audience especially, I would like to remind you to write any questions you may have or any comments, and my colleagues Julie and Neve will respond to general questions. And if there are those directed to the panelists, don't worry, we'll have a moment later where we'll respond to them. Now, to our panelists, I will start with Abimbola. You have been working with a lot of women and youth farmers in Nigeria. How did you first start organic farming, and what made you work with your community in promoting it?
Yeah, thank you once again, Joanita, for having me on this year's I Grow Your Food campaign and for giving me the opportunity to share this amazing experience with the world. For me, I have the extension service delivery as a backbone of my success over the years. I've been working with farmers. And I first started as an extension officer where I disseminate information to my farmers every now and then. And then I also work with women in agriculture where we have, different kind of skills that we disseminate to our women farmers. But along the line, I joined another organic network, which actually, made a change for me. And that was the Association of Organic Agriculture Practitioners of Nigeria, which is known as an acronym. There, I was able to interact with professionals, advocates, different kinds of researchers to brainstorm. And that was where the narrative actually changed for me. Because I know with my farmers, there's a kind of practice that they know that have actually hindered their production process. So it was easy for me to actually disseminate, the information to sustain their agroecology in practicing what can sustain their production system. Although it's not quite easy getting through farmers. But then I started by having my own screen house, to actually start planting my vegetables and different kinds of things to actually showcase what I've done. As charity begins at home, they say. So gradually, I started building this community of farmers for them to actually know that this is achievable. And so that was where the journey began.
Wow. I love that. And I also noticed you mentioned no one who are one of our members, and also I believe met you during the training of trainers, one of the programs that aim to
Yes.
train organic leaders. It's amazing how
Yes.
much work they do with that. And also, yeah, it what you mentioned something about working with farmers is something also that Juan Pablo does actually in Peru. And I'm wondering if it's similar experience for you in Peru when you're organizing farmers or when you're working with them.
Well, in Peru, we have been working a few years ago with the project NMA, Nutrition Agroecosystem Network. With this project, we have been working with young farmers and with kids trying to promote biodiversity in their farms so they can produce a diverse kind of foods and um, they can produce diverse kind of foods and also they can have a diverse diet so they can have a good healthier food and locally produced. So this kind of projects have been help to the farmers to create more access foods and also to have a diverse diet.
Yeah, you mentioned biodiversity a couple of times there. Why is biodiversity important and how does organic actually contribute to that?
Well, I think diverse agrobiodiversity means for farmers here in the Andes of Peru means have food for all year long because they can produce all the time. I mean, they can produce for all. They can produce for all year around. I mean, here in the Andes, the families, the farmers produce in the rainy season mainly because there is almost half a year there is no rain in the season, so they produce for all year and they can harvest, they can store, they can have the food for them. Also, they can have for storage and they can use for their consume. Also, they can sell to the local farmers. And also, biodiversity means to have a diverse diet for their families.
And I believe through this project, NMA, you were able to reach out to so many farmers and also try to emphasize the idea that food diversity, especially indigenous local species, was really important when it comes to food security, and something Shamika you talk about in your video as well with the rice varieties. Is it the same also in India with the farmers that you've worked with, and also with you as an organic farmer, that biodiversity is important when preserving, indigenous species?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the key of any organic farming that anybody does. I think all over the globe, and seeds. Just to talk for myself, I've been traveling all over India, documenting traditional seed keepers and organic farmers, and the stories that I mean, you can see my book there, which is available. But the stories that farmers tell us about, it's so interesting. They are there. I have a catalog of the different shades of kidney beans that only one person has in Uttarakhand, Vijay Jardari, who started the Beej Bachao Andolan, or the seed movement in India. And we have generally seen kidney beans only in one color of red normally, but he has around I don't know how many, but around 50 different shades of colors, like yellow, green, violet, white, brown, and kind of grayish. And in that also you see different variants. So it's difficult to explain it, but easier to show a picture. But yeah, diversity is the key for any organic farmer. And actually, the seed keepers have been my inspiration to come into farming myself. And yeah, that's the most turning point of my life, which was biodiversity and the seed conservation work done by farmers.
Oh, I love that, because you did mention that you're a researcher before, and then you decided to come to organic farming, and I was gonna ask actually what made you take that leap from being from research basically to
Yeah,
organic farming.
basically, being in academia has its own limitations as well as benefits. And same way with being a farmer, you have your own limitations and the goodness that comes with it. But yeah, I decided to become a farmer myself because being a staff and telling farmers to do this or that was quite easy actually. But actually, that's like being on the fence of a farm. But actually getting into the field by yourself, plowing yourself, and doing everything from sowing, like preparing the land till you harvest your rice, that whole process itself is so physically intensive as well as knowledge intensive at every single step. And if you don't know about it, what am I going to tell the farmers to do? So I basically started learning after I left my PhD and started learning from farmers. So yeah, so that the this book that I wrote on seed keepers of India actually made me have a dream of becoming a farmer, and eventually I became. So since 7 years now, I'm growing rice and vegetables, but still I'm learning a lot every single day.
There's always so much to learn on the farm. On one part, yes, it can be very intensive, but also, like I said, there's so much to learn, and also it gets you more appreciative of actually how other farmers do it every day, irrespective of the weather. Yeah, I'm going to ask again, like just a reminder, if you guys have any questions for Abimbola, Juan, and Shamika, please share them in the comment section, and they will respond to you. And yeah, so speaking of, the gap between research and also organic farming in itself, I would probably look at Abimbola for this, for you to share your experience here. Do you think there is a gap there?
Yes, absolutely. There is a gap. But for me, researchers hold that key to knowledge in terms of creativity and, how they can be able to relate with the farmers. But over time, we found out that researchers will only want to tell, the organic farmers or farmers, this is what they have on the shelf. And it's time for us to change, the paradigm shift, where there must be need assessment by our farmers. What are they really going through? What is a basic problem that they need to be attended to? This will now be taken back to the researchers. where they will have to go in depth to actually find out what they can do to be able to assist the farmer. In this way, we can then close the gap, because the relationship will be there to know that, okay, the farmer is actually, in need of something, and the researcher is actually going around it. For example, in extension services, we can call this one, as we call it, on-farm adaptive research, where the researcher will just, by the time he knows the needs assessment, will go back, and then if the solution is being sorted out, then it could be in terms of an experiment where we could have, different kinds of demonstration plots where they could, actually do, some sort of demonstration to know that if that thing is actually applicable to solve the farmer's problem. And in the long run, if this works, the farmer will be happy that the need assessment of the farmer has actually been, sorted out. So I think that is the kind of gap that can be closed within the researcher and the farmers.
All right, I like that. And indeed, like also, I believe, Juan, you had some experience with this, uh, working with research and also with organic farmers directly. From your own experience, what would you suggest as a solution?
I think researching and doing farming, there's some very differences, but I think now there is some universities and they're getting close to farmers to do some researches, like to promote some kind of saving systems for some crops, like for potatoes, for Andean grains, and Andean fruits, like here in the Andes, because those kind of produce, I mean, the potatoes, the grains, and they are adapted to the Andes. And also this kind of food can provide to the farmers healthier foods, and they can use for many different type of products, like as a fresh produce. Also, they can have they can do some kind of different products to sell to local farmers. I mean, local markets in the locally or regionally.
Hmm. So definitely, there's a lot of actually synergies that could be happening, and I believe also Shamika did mention, with a because of working with farmers, she was able to see firsthand some, not only learn for her research for her book on seeds, but also directly to see how you could apply what is being proposed in research, but also the other way around, how the farmers can teach researchers on this.
In fact, when he said that, I felt to just add here, Gianita, if you think so.
Please go ahead.
For example, there is organizations who have a platforms where researchers or scientists and farmers interact or interchange knowledge share between each other and take the research ahead. For example, Masipag is one such platform where scientists and farmers participatory have a participatory research going together. I think that's the best deal, but very few such cases are there in different places, but there are.
Yeah, and actually, for those who don't know Masipag, if you go into Organic Without Boundaries, you'll find some stories from them as well, showcasing how they've been working with farmers and researchers to build seed libraries in their communities. Really, really inspiring, fascinating work there. And yeah, so as a consumer or as a citizen, how can I, best support organic agriculture and also agroecological farmers when I don't have a farm myself? I don't farm. So how can I best support them, knowing that these practices are boosting biodiversity? We'll probably then, yeah, Shamika, maybe you could continue with that.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yes, I'd say as a citizen, a normal citizen who is not a farmer, how can I best support agroecological and organic farmers? Because I know their practices definitely boost biodiversity. So how can I best support?
Yeah, I think it starts both ways. we never consider farmers as consumers. We always consider consumers as consumers and farmers as farmers, but farmers are also consumers. So first is the farmers should also start eating themselves and not just selling it in the market. That is one. But also as city consumers, the normal way we talk with consumers is mainly to start eating organic food, understanding the benefits of it, and basically all the harmful effects of the toxic things that we every day put in our diets. If we can just know about it. Now the awareness is increasing gradually in different regions. I'm not aware how much awareness it's there in your regions, but there are many such videos and groups talking about it. And it's important, and especially pandemic has helped us to understand the understand it more. To, let's say, it has benefited to understand it more, and now many people have started coming to organic. So we at least promote in our region to not like convert all your foodstuffs into organic, because people find it difficult in the initial years. So we tell them just try one item at a time. So if you are in an area where your wheat is a main staple diet, then you first start eating organic wheat first. Or if it's a rice belt, then we say first start eating the red bran rice as a replacement to your white rice. And for that, like this in the video that you saw, I grow your food, sorry, I grow your rice, that we adapted from iPhone. In our region, there's a group of citizens who said that yes, we want to eat your rice, and please tell us the story. So we have a WhatsApp group where we tell, like, okay, now the seed is grown this much, it's transplanted. So it's like they see the baby grow till the end, they get the rice, and then they are sending us all these interesting recipes. And visually also it is very different. Taste wise also kids like it. And there are many such initiatives where people are trying how to replace junk food with the nutrition rich food. So I think that would definitely help consumers.
I see Abimbola smiling so brightly. Please share.
Yes, I agree with Shaminka totally. But for me, advocacy is very key. People will tend to understand if you try to make them see the reason why they need to, do what they need to do. And just like I said, if farmers and any other person are coming within the value chain, the consumers are very key in this stakeholding advocacy, because when the consumers are within the system, they're able to know and understand why they need to consume what they need to consume, and why they need to actually dissociate from something food that are actually injurious to them. So when you have farmers that have success stories around what they do, you always bring the consumer as one of the value chain actor there for them to see in every community. So those will be the actors, the multipliers that will be able to spread the message to other people that, oh, in this locality, this is what has happened. A farmer has a success story. This is what has happened. You can even give some people to have like a palatability test. We call that. They will cook. They will see how tasty it is. It's different from the ones we get on the open market. And no, the story goes on because you're dealing with one customer, which is one consumer. Is that one consumer that will spread that message across?
Wow. I mean, if you make one of those palliative tests, please invite me. I won't say no. And Juan, I believe also you did work with, certain farmers in your communities and encouraged consumers and also, who are not farmers to come and work together. However, there were some challenges probably you would have faced, and I would like to hear maybe a challenge that you faced as an organic farmer trying to, promote the, the positive impact organic has to maybe, skeptic citizens and maybe other farmers who are not embracing the practice yet.
Well, here in Peru, I think agroecological and organic foods is growing slowly, but it's growing because of COVID-19 has changed some different ways to eat. I think there was as many people are now more interested in organic foods to have healthy foods, and also this helps to farmers to access to local markets, and they can sell their produce to higher price. This is growing slowly, but it's growing. I think it's a good news. And also, we think more people are trying to buy to local farmers because they know where they came the foods, and also they can help to with their economy to small farmers. I think this is a good way. This is growing slowly.
I believe that, and you did share that the consumers get to know more about how their food is grown, and it's a very important feature for everybody, not just the consumers, but also the farmers themselves to know how the food is grown and share that knowledge with others. And however, I'm wondering, how would a policymaker then come to, empower these messages, create more space for this kind of dialogue to happen? I don't know, maybe Shamika, you could share from your own experience how policymakers can empower organic and agroecological farmers.
Yeah, so I think thanks for this question because well said that it's easier to convince the consumers, I feel, because like Abimbola said, once people eat, you they would come back again and again. So that's easier, but policy level change is a little tough one, and but that does happen if farmers are involved at every stage of a policy making meeting, as they include researchers or as they include other activists from NGOs. They should also include one as a farmer representative. I mean, I would say not farmer representative, but a farmer himself or herself, because many times farmers are not included in these decision making of the policy, and they are the ones who are going to ultimately benefit out of a policy. So many times, what we have experienced in India is that we have different policies on organic for farmers to get benefited, but they are not included in the policy making process since the beginning. uh, so what happens is the policy is there on paper, but the actual implementation part of it doesn't happen, and finally the benefits don't reach the farmer actually in his or her account. So that's one challenge. So it's important to include farmers at every level of table discussion that happens. Many people say that no, farmers cannot come to table meetings, but that's an assumption. Not all of them are like this. There could be one or two who could speak a little bit of your language and could manage and come there. And there are a lot of farmer leaders on ground who could do that and maintain a balance between their farm and such discussions. So while we promoted that in India, at least now many places farmers are included from our organization OFI, that is the national organization, at various platforms to discuss. So now everybody thinks about having a scientist person, an activist person, a farmer, and whosoever in the value chain, the trader, and that's how the policy is made. So I hope we achieve that by by doing this. We would achieve some more steps ahead.
Yeah, I can say it's difficult, but it's not impossible for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with what you're sharing. Yeah, yeah, Bibola, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Shamika has said it all. It's really a daunting task when it comes to the policy making. But I think everything has to also depend on the kind of leadership. If you have a leader that understands, the body language of how to really get things done, you actually have people that really understand how to put, the right things done. So for me, I think every value chain should be co-opted into policy making, and every stage of the way, people should have this interactive procedure so they could have a sense of belonging. Because in the long run, the success of everything will still go back to the leader. So I agree with Shamika. One has to co-opt farmers. We have intelligent farmers, like we said. We have people that have this indigenous method that you cannot just take away from them, that they are native to it, and they help, to build the ecosystem because they've been there for a long time. So I think we should look holistically into this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're coming towards the end. But I would, before I let you guys go, I would request that if you have one message you'd like to share, what would it be? And I'll start, with Shamika and Juan, and then Abimbola.
Maybe you should start with somebody else.
Yeah, then Juan it is.
Well,
So Juan, if you have one last message to share for now, because of course we'll be sharing throughout the day, but one message to share to our audience, what would it be?
I think we can think about to help farmers to keep saving many different kind of uh, food, diverse food. I think they sometimes they feel they don't have any help from any government projects or any other ways. So I think we can help them to buying their fruits, their local foods, and they can keep saving all the agro biodiverse in their farms.
Thank you so much, Juan. And Abimbola?
Yes, I want to say I appreciate my farmers so much. I want to tell them that they should keep doing what they need to do to save the world, so to be a better place. And most especially, I want to appreciate all the farmers that I've been working with in my association in Nigeria. They're really doing fantastic work. They're making things go right for farmers. I'm also trying to run a PGS for people so that they can be able to access, certified standard quality products for the consumer. So I want to appreciate all the farmers around the world. I appreciate everyone for saying, yes, let us keep the world alive. Thank you.
Thanks, Abimbola. And Shamika.
Thanks, Leonita. No, I didn't want to just take away
We're
what
ready, don't
you
worry.
wanted to say. Yeah, so I just want to say that in this process of coming from a staff to becoming a farmer, I've realized that we should allow farmers to speak for themselves and not speak for them. And that's the message that we give in INOFO as well, which is the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmers Organization. It is a sector platform within IFOAM Organics International. And being the president, I would give a message to all the farmer organizations who are listening to this or who are there, should be there, and we are supportive to you at any levels of local, national, regional, or global work that you do. Um, Also, because at every level, farmers need to speak for themselves. And because we are working on ground, we know the realities on ground, and nobody else can replace the farmers, nor can farmers go on holidays. So, and every day we grow the food. So, yeah, so that's the message. And never feel let down by anything, but just support yourself and be there at all levels. And the whole world will come towards you, towards the farmers to grow the food.
Thank you so much, Shamika. It's a nice way to round it off because that's why I Grow Your Food Day is so important because it's the only day that is literally celebrating agroecological and organic farmers all over the world and letting the most powerful thing about I Grow Your Food initiative is the farmer speaking. It's the farmer voices themselves. No one is speaking on their behalf. It's their video, it's their story, it's their post. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all of you. And my God, unfortunately, this stream is coming to an end, but not the Agro Food Action Day. So I would really like to, especially thank you, panelists Shamika, Abimbola, and Juan for joining us today and sharing. I'm personally glowing with inspiration. I've learned so much, and it's always so nice to interact with you. And almost making me speechless, which is hard to do. So thank you once again for the wonderful work you guys keep doing and other farmers nourishing us. And please feel free to, to the audience, feel free to interact with them. You can always reach out to us and we'll share the details with you. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, as we come to the end of our event today, I'd like to encourage you guys to please share messages from farmers in your community. as well as, share your own message of appreciation to those farmers. Yeah, you can, share these messages either from our social media toolkit, where we have so many messages from farmers from all over the world, so you could go there, see for yourself, find what works for you, and also share. And there's no limit. You can share as many as possible. Thank you once again for joining us. And please let us now go take over social media with the messages of these amazing farmers who grow our food. Before we go, though, we'll leave you with a powerful message from Inna Kolosok, an organic farmer in the Ukraine. And need to know that farmers like Inna are working under very tough and strenuous conditions to continue nourishing us. So please let us then take today to ensure that their voices are heard and to celebrate the tremendous work that they do. Thank you to you all, organic and agroecological farmers, for growing our food, and have a lovely day.
Доброго дня! Мене звати Інна Колосок. Я вирощую твою їжу в Україні. Я працюю на органічному виробництві агрофірми «Інбері». Наша команда складається з 12 чоловік і сезонні працівники. У нас найбільші площі в Сумській області, на яких ми вирощуємо органічну лохину і органічну суницю. Ми знаходимося на кордоні. Звісно, дуже важко працювати під звуки щоденних вибухів. Але рослинам не скажеш – не плодоносьте, зустрінемось наступного року. Агрофірма «Інбері» працює з 2017 року. В 2018 році було зроблено перші закладки ягідника. Я проходила навчання, нам допомагали консультаціями більш досвідчені фахівці. Провели деякі досліди, підібрали сорти і розпочали маленькими кроками освоювати велику справу. Я хочу, щоб люди насолоджувались нашим продуктом, а я буду задоволена і насолоджуватись тим, що люди смакують якісний і корисний продукт. Чому це для мене важливо? Тому що це філософія мого життя. Я впевнена, що це дуже гарно, коли у людини філософія життя – це якість. Якість у всьому. В думках, у справах. Я вирощую твою їжу. I grow your